Now, Socrates is put on trial, and at least in the account that we get from Plato of the trial, it's kind of an interesting story because when I was talking about the historical context, you might think that it's kind of a political intrigue. That is, Socrates was hanging out with the dictators that took over Athens and did not rule very well in Athens. But that was not at least the story that Plato tells in the dialogues of the Apology and the Crito. The Apology being not an apology, but an account of Socrates' defense at his trial. Now, why is Socrates put on trial? Does he have a lot of money? Is he wealthy? No. Is he the leader of a political faction? Is he the reason the 30 take over? No. Is he good looking? At least not the way Plato tells the story. When they describe his appearances, he's not the most handsome guy in the world. Well, what is it about the Socrates that made him a target? I should say that made him a target. Well, he was a war hero. He fought in battles during the Peloponnesian War, and he had a reputation for being a very heroic warrior. He certainly was an intellectual leader. In fact, we'll talk about it at some point. Socrates used to go around with the younger guys in Athens, and he was always pursuing wisdom on the one hand. On the other hand, he always claimed to be completely ignorant. But what he would do is go around to the rich and powerful. And remember, he was always concerned with figuring out, he was always concerned with gaining knowledge. And he thought he could gain knowledge from those who had it. And who should have it? The people who are the experts, the people who know the crafts. So if you want to find out things about politics or ethics, who do you ask? The people who are in the ruling, the people who are the leaders of the city. If you want to find out various things, you want to find out about, literature, who do you ask? The poets. And he would go around asking all of the rich and famous, the people who were important in Athens, questions about what is justice, what is virtue, the things that they should be experts in, and he would end up showing that they really did not know, that they would end up contradicting themselves. And he had these younger guys hanging out with him. I guess it was the thing that the jet set would do in those days. Hang out with Socrates and watch him ask questions of the people in power, making them feel very silly. So he was an intellectual hero. He was a war hero. And the other thing was he was constantly challenging the values of society. Some rich guy would say, hey, I got money, I know what's going on. But remember, at least Socrates was not impressed with wealth. That was not what the goal of the human life was. That was not the objective. The objective was gaining knowledge, philosophy. And this was they found very challenging to their way of life. And in particular, what it was challenging to was relativism, which was supported by the Sophists. The Sophists had become popular. Sophists weren't known for being philosophers, but rather they were teachers who went around teaching the youth of various places, and not just any old people. That is, they commanded very high salaries to teach very important things. What were they teaching? They were teaching not philosophy, but rhetoric. Sometimes mathematics, sometimes politics, but they were teaching rhetoric. Why? Because if you think about it, if truth is relative, if morality is relative, what's it important? How is it important? Or how does one gain knowledge? How do you do that? By convincing people to believe what you believe, and that's what the Sophists were bringing to the table. So ultimately, Socrates is put on trial for challenging the relativism of the Sophists, who were commanding large fees for educating the youth of the rich and famous in Athens.